Caitlin Clark looks like you with a wig. Has anyone ever said that to you before?
No. I mean, I usually get Pee Wee Herman or Ed Norton or Joseph Gordon-Levitt, depending on how puffy I am throughout the course of the day. But yeah, I'll take female Caitlin Clark. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That just okay.
I do get the amateur sketch of DB Cooper as well. I really have generic white guy face is essentially what it boils down to.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. The time has come, friends. The Masters, picks, bets, one and done, and Cust top 3 players to bet on and Cust top 3 players to fade. You might want to reverse those. Who knows? He did hit a major winner last year, so he's beyond the part of being due. Now he's back to 15 years in the hole. So take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. If you're looking for all Masters content, hit the description. I've created a drop page for all Masters content. The Mayo Masters Content Hub. Just a simple link. It's in my Substack. You can subscribe to the Substack for free. That's down in the description as well. But that page, you can bookmark it and get on with it. There's $1,000 in giveaways, straight cash to your account. I'm giving away 4 winners. Jeff and I will be handing out the winners live from Las Vegas at the Circa Hotel, the Stadium Swim, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, unless our flights are delayed. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that there's no inclement weather coming from Canada to Las Vegas. We're going to be at the Circa all weekend long, so if you're in Vegas, come hang out with us. And if you do want to know how to get into that draw and get yourself potentially $250 cold hard cash for you, use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. That gives you 30 ballots in the draw, first-time depositors in there. And if you use code Mayo in the past, you're already in the draw, so please go do that. And if you use code Mayo, not only do you get the deposit match and a free Scotty Scheffler free square in the Pick'em game on Thursday, you will unlock an additional free square on Underdog for Thursday for Jordan Spieth. Higher or lower than 0.5 strokes. Don't think he's going lower than 0.5. I think he'll go more than that. The only guy who actually hit the lower on the 0.5 was Dustin Johnson that year that he had to withdraw from the Masters like 5 minutes before it actually started. And you know what? If that happens to Jordan Spieth, which as a good Christian boy, I don't think would happen to him, but they'll probably give you something else to do on Friday. Anyway, code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. The other way to do it is rate, review, and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You subscribe to it, you leave a 5-star rating. Even if you've done it before, go do it again. 10 ballots for Apple, 10 ballots for Spotify, so you can get a ton of ballots into that draw. And if you click the Mayo Masters link, there's another way to get ballots in there, and it includes X. So go check out my hype video, Geoff Fienberg, that I released for the Masters.
Yeah, taking us back to your old school editing system days, Pat. I can't wait, though, to get to Vegas so I could take care of some of that overlay in the Underdog Albatross, because I haven't been able to play drafts since I was in Florida. And once my phone registers that it's in Vegas, I'll be pumping some drafts all of Wednesday. I promise. You'll just see me doing it.
It will be something to do on the plane, at least. Just do some Underdog drafts the entire time. $10 for the Albatross. There's $50K to first place. So that's another bonus. I'm going to be doing a live stream on Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time as well. We'll probably do a major season best ball draft on that. But I don't want to belabor the point. We're here to talk about the Masters, but I will belabor it one more time. Akshay Bhatia, last man in, 65-1 winner for the two of us, and most people who are viewing this show right now. Congratulations to all of us. We got a ton of money going into the Masters to waste and not hit a winner. However, have you ever had such a sweat-free 65-1 winner in your life, Jeff?
To have a 6-stroke lead at the turn and shoot 2 under and to have to make that putt is absurd. Like beyond absurd. Congrats to Denny, but it was a justified ending. It wasn't fair to this proactive father, though, Pat. We are going to Vegas on Wednesday. I got a busy day today. I'm sure you're 100 times busier doing Masters. Like, I'm not even going to compare. I was like, I'm going to be the dad. I'm going to be a dad on Sunday. It's Masters week. I'm going away. Akshay makes that birdie on 1. I'm like free to, like, we're going out with the kids all day dad mode. I didn't even kept checking, and then I saw it was up 2, and then just, ruin the late day vibes. Held strong though, not a single cash out. But tried to be a proactive dad. I held strong for a bit, but I had to get back to the TV when the Denny eclipse was occurring. We've seen a Streelman eclipse before. Wasn't ready for that, and wasn't ready for this one either.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for a 28 on the back nine to tie the guy that we had for the lead. And a lot of people were even saying that this is an all-time choke job from Akshay. It wasn't a choke job at all. The dude shot like 5 under on the day.
Yeah, he had a 6-stroke lead and shot 2 under from that point. You can't call that a choke job. Like, yes, was a 5 foot, like a couple missed 5-footers, one for birdie, one for par. But no, choke job. It was just like, I couldn't believe it. Denny was hitting every 12-footer and chipping in and hitting 40-footers. There was one of them, it felt like he stuck to like 4 or 5 feet. Maybe it was on the par 3. But other than that, Denny was, I don't even know what to call it, but you were laughing at first, like, oh, that's cute, Denny. And then it was like, oh my God, what is happening? We cashed it. We're flush. It's Masters.
Yeah, I was having a full-on meltdown while I was doing it. I was working out while I was watching it. I had barbells in my hand. And when Denny made the putt on 16, I think, no, it's when he chipped in on 15. I almost threw the barbell through the TV. And then I thought to myself, this is a very poor decision. I mean, I would have to clean it up and I'd be out of TV. But I started to think that Denny might win, that I wouldn't even have the money to replace the TV at that point. So I held back. I showed some big restraint on that. I, like you, was team no cash out on this, and it was sweaty. That putt he made on 18, though, whoo! I knew Denny's was going in because it was in Denny auto range of being inside, 50 feet at that point. Everything was going in for him. But I couldn't believe he made the putt.
Couldn't believe it. He made it. Center cup. He putted so well. Oh, my God. He almost... The thing is, he kind of did exactly like it felt like Patrick Rogers had a 5-6 stroke lead on him late in his round when Rogers went full melt and he stole one from him. It wasn't like pure Denny mode, but yeah, I'm just happy we're here. And now you get to burden, you get to tell me about all the Akshay markets. I'll tell you through Vegas.
Well, we're going Akshay low debutant. Hopefully his shoulder is okay, or at least there should be someone walking with him throughout the course so we can get a quick TJ if he needs it, a quick tape job.
Can you believe the chutzpah? Then he goes in the water. You're going to make him like wait this out. Unbelievable. I joked on Twitter. Even Jordan Spieth doesn't have that sort of chutzpah to make people wait.
Well, maybe Akshay had good vibes from the previous hole when they played 18, that he ended up making birdie on that hole, putting it pretty close, like to 10 feet, makes the putt, forces the playoff with Denny, and he was trying to create the exact same scenario, and he was going to hit his shot too quickly, so he had to compensate for the amount of time it took Brendan Todd to hit his shot. So he had to go walk off for 30 minutes and come back and hit his shot then.
I guess. I mean, what a crazy sequence. And then he goes full like 17 handicapper and like me and dusts it in the water like that. Like, wow, what an hour. And and to think it's almost like we got to make this entertaining. Liv has something fun happening potentially. And then it was just captivating where I didn't even totally forgot about sort of paying attention to Liv because of what happened there. I'm happy to cash the bet.
Listen,
it was so good.
Yeah.
I'm so like Pat, sometimes I bet guys and I stay on a horse so long that all I feel in my pocket is my thigh because they've taken all my money. Literally on last week's show, I'm like, I don't think I've ever bet Akshay before, but just tracking him, following him along, like this is my sort of guy. A lights out player, hope to make the putts. Like he was right in my wheelhouse. Time one in, boom. Oh my God. Sometimes. Feels good. Feels good.
I missed his win last year because I forgot that the Barracuda was happening because it was Open Championship week. So I missed out on that. And you know that I've been the big Akshay guy for like 3 years now. Just you see him playing, you're like, man, he's got it. It's just, can he put it all together? I thought he was going to give it a run in Mexico last year when it was Rom and Finau and Akshay in the final group, and just he's not going to outrun those two guys at the stage of his career. But we saw it the past few weeks. Just like basically, I wrote him up in Golf Digest that 7 straight rounds gaining on approach. The driving is always good. He is one of the best drivers in terms of distance and accuracy of any player out there right now. It's just, can he make the putts? And the big drawback was his short game. And it was my contention that, like, look, if he's going to win, he's just going to hit a ton of greens in regulation. And therefore, the short game isn't going to mean as much. He won't be able to chip himself out of tournaments, which we saw in Houston the week before. And what did he do? He led the field in greens in regulation. That's how you win golf tournaments. The only two bad shots, really, that he hit, like, guys are going to miss putts. It happens. Denny missed 2 putts on the first 2 holes from, like, inside 10 feet. Yeah. Then he made everything else the rest of the day. He got tentative with his tee shot on the par 3 on 16 and left it short, but made a nice recovery. And the missed putt on 17. I mean, missed putts happen, but had he had made that, he just closes the door on Denny, and he wasn't able to do it. But he rebounded quite nicely. It was nice to see, like, he didn't seem rattled at any point. He just kind of thought that Denny making all these putts was just like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm going to keep trying to play my game. And it was a big advantage for him, I think, that they got to play the par 5 in the playoff.
Yeah, for sure. It worked for him. And then, again, you saw him bring out, look for the trainer. Maybe he's hurt. It was quite an experience. I'm telling you, Pat, it's one, like, it'll be like easily the top 2 or 3 more memorable, like, bets aside, like, that'll be one you'll be able to recall it at Christmas when, like, the whole season really feels like a blur outside of majors. Like, what actually did we watch the last 12 months? That one's going to stick out in the same way, like the different, but the Ricky at Waste Management weird one versus, which ended up being versus Grace, like, sticks out forever. Just in how 6-stroke lead, good time, celebration mode, and then, like, what the hell is going on? Different, but same in terms of how I'll remember it.
For sure. I had Brennan Grace, so I remember that one in the opposite way. This would have been the most devastating gambling loss of my entire life, just with the way that it came up. Not that it was for the most money or what, just watching it. I watched the entire round Saturday. I watched the entire round Sunday. I was just feeling good vibes. I had this huge bet in. Get hit a 65-1 winner. That's fun. And I love Akshay too. I wanted to see him. I wanted him to be in the Masters, and then it just started melting away. Like the Morikawa one at Kapalua last year when Rom chased him down was bad, but it happened so quickly that you saw it coming. Morikawa was playing, and then Rom was just past him by 3 strokes. This one was just like 1,000 little paper cuts. And just, again, Akshay wasn't bleeding it away. Denny was just making everything. It was just like, oh my God, please. And of all people too, Denny McCarthy is going to be the guy who hasn't won on the PGA Tours, the one who, it was just going to be devastating, Geoff. Devastating.
Is that like other, like, 45-foot putt? Yeah, it was all crushing. And not gonna lie, like, got back-to-back winners, and it's Masters week. Like, buddy, like, this is what I live for. Other people, like, have other things. This and football season, like, football season's been a long time away. Everyone's got their things they like to waste money on. Like, mine is the fucking Masters. Now we're going to Vegas. Oh yeah, whatever. I don't care. I could give it all back. Well, not necessarily on outright winners, but just in the whole experience.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, but I did want to talk about the Spieth on Saturday hitting the ball on the roof, which is the most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen in a golf tournament.
Fucking go home.
Hey, it's a great move. Listen, if you know the rules and that's what happens, why wouldn't you do it?
Fucking clown show.
Then make them
like,
change
not
the
just
rules.
Him, like the
make
tour,
make them change the rules then.
Yeah, no, I'm talking more about the tour being the clown show than, like, Jordan Spieth. Like, that was embarrassing, but what a clown show. Every week. I know, like, you have these visions of this, like, this tournament that sells itself on being, like, souped up and different, but I don't know. Guys get to play them from the car park, get favorable situations. Guys get favorable from the roof. It's just fucking embarrassing. It's so fucking laughable. It's actually more embarrassing than disqualifying a guy for signing a wrong card, in my opinion. In my opinion, it actually makes the sport look dumber and more pathetic than when you disqualify a guy for writing the wrong number, even though it's been tracked correctly. The official scoring has it correct. Broadcast has it correct, but your fat thumb wrote something down, cheating or otherwise. I don't give a shit. When that shit happens, it's just such a whatever. They got to sell that. Like, that's not even they got to sell the suites. This guy's going to the clubhouse. That's my opinion on it.
Well,
I don't think Jordan Spieth's a scumbag like other. Well, our friend Kirshner wrote some crazy tweet. I used to, no. That's crazy. He took a lot of heat for that. You come at Spieth, they come for you with pitchforks. But what a totally embarrassing situation. Well, fuck the tour.
Well, I did write this up in my the first preview that I put out on Sunday night. That's in the Substack right now, and it's in the Masters Mayo Hub, which you can just get the link to in the description right now. And talked about we did a show on needle movers a year ago, and I talked about this on the research show that came out on Saturday evening as well. That Jordan Spieth is legitimately the only needle mover in golf at this point. Like, he's the only one where you can see that when he's in contention, ratings go up. It's weird. Like, I can't believe that he has this longevity as being such a public favorite. And you see it reflected in the Masters odds this week.
I don't really think you're wrong. I've harped forever that, like, YouTubers could push more equipment than 99% of these guys. Jordan Spieth's probably in the 1% that just people give a shit about, people are intrigued by. I can't deny it. Even myself, like, I'm more annoyed because I'm seeing this backlog happen on the tee, and I'm just like, what? Like, I'm just thinking about me, like, go, like, what the fuck? Like, having making these guys sit there. I literally, Pat, went to get dinner. I ordered and picked up dinner and got home before Akshay hit his tee shot, following the completion of the putt on 17. And I fully expected, like, I'll listen to this the end on radio. And it's just like, when I got home, picking the family up dinner, like, holy crap. I made it there, back, ordered, waited, got it in, and not far, but still far enough. He didn't hit a shot yet.
Well, that was last week. That was the Valero Texas Open. We need to move on to Augusta National. You come in hitting 2 outright winners in a row, so you're hot. I come in hitting 1 in a row, flushing the bank account. So we can lose some money at the Masters, but we need to figure out how we're going to do that, which means that we need to bring in someone's opinion that we need to factor in before making any wagers on this stuff. The man, the myth, not so much a legend. It is Tim Undercust.
Tim Andercust.
That's not my name. You could have just said Big Game Hunter.
Well, you did correctly pick a major winner last year. That's very impressive. You got Wyndham Clark at 80-1, your first Masters or first major winner ever in the 15-year history of the show.
So what you were saying is that I was due.
Exactly. So that means you're probably not due this time, right?
I don't know. I feel pretty good about this Masters. I have to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, why do you
feel... the first real tournament of the year.
I mean, yeah, in a lot of ways, you're absolutely correct. I mean, in all honesty, there's like 4 real tournaments throughout the course of the year at this point. But, Geoff, how are you feeling about Tim's confidence here in the Masters?
Listen, he had his big win from last year. There was clips of me giggling at that as his gold pick. Most people will have actually bet it, so they won't be annoying their friends for credit for the next, amount of years. They just would have won lots of money from a sports book, but it's our responsibility to give Tim his well-earned credit from that great Masters call last year. Tim considers himself like a self-proclaimed major championship savant, expert. In the same way, I'm sure, Pat, you're going to be doing something this summer with his Olympic expertise. So I'm always happy to hear the doctor, talk us through a major.
Well, Tim, the floor is yours. You always get your 3 picks, your gold, silver, and bronze for every major championship and the Players' Championship as well. That one didn't go as well for you this time around. But this is major season. Who were the 3 picks?
So my bronze pick, and I had already tipped my hat on this one, is Brian Harman. I think he's got exactly the right game for this place. Wouldn't shock me in the least if he won. He's he's a left-handed player who has succeeded at the highest level of golf. He won a tournament this year too.
No,
and
he didn't.
I like his chances.
He did not. He did not win a tournament this year.
Has he? Okay, I thought he had won since the British Open.
No.
If I'm anyway, fair enough. He's one of the best players in the world. He played well enough. He certainly wasn't the weak link by any means at the Ryder Cup. I think he's fine. I think he's going to play really well here.
Okay, so Brian Harman, in 5 Masters starts to his career, best finish was a 12th place finish in 2021, has missed the cut 3 out of 5 times. So you feel like this is his year?
Honestly, yeah, I don't care as much as other people do about past performance or even form for that matter. I mean, those things are nice, but they're not the most important things. Like last year, I remember you in particular treated Phil like he was Sandy Lyle at the Masters, and he finished second. So, don't tell me that these things are the most important things, because they're not. They're a factor amongst many.
Well, we're trying to find a winner here. Phil never had a chance to win last year.
He finished second. He had as good a chance as anybody.
Yeah, but you're going to come on and tell us that. I mean, I saw your Twitter feed last night, and you weren't wrong about talking about Rory, that you're going to say, oh, he comes in good form. He came third. Phil was exactly the same at the Masters last year. He came in second. It was nowhere near the lead.
Okay. Well, Phil's also not 10-1 like Rory is coming into this tournament.
I completely agree with you. But if you say we're talking about picking guys to win here, so you can't use one criteria for one guy and have the exact same criteria for another guy and say, oh, no, that was great for him. He played great.
I'm not certain that Rory is in good form either. You're right. But, I mean, I'm just saying that it's not the only thing that matters to me. Like, if it did, I'd pick Sergio Garcia to win, because he lost in a playoff yesterday. But
I think you're going to find that Sergio.
I'm not going to do that.
I think you're going to find Sergio's probably going to be a pretty popular selection this week.
And he very well may be. He played good golf. He would be like the default pick, because you can't pick Burmeister in this tournament for form coming out of Live. But no, I'm not playing him.
Okay, so no Sergio. So it's Brian Harman, your number 3. And you can just say it's because he's left-handed. That's all you need to say, because we know that's why you're doing it.
And he's already won a major championship.
That's great.
In fact, he won the most recent major championship.
You really think that Brian Harman's going to be a 2-time major winner? Is he the Zach Johnson of our era?
Honestly, he looks to me like a left-handed Zach Johnson in so many ways.
Okay. Silver pick?
Silver pick is Bryson DeChambeau. I expect Bryson to control a lot of this tournament. I expect him to be the first-round leader. I expect him to make as many eagles as he does bogeys this week, which is to say, not many. I think he's going to make a lot of pars and birdies, handful of eagles, handful of bogeys. He's going to be in it to the bitter end. Bryson is running out of Masters to compete in. He's got this year's and next year's. So he really needs to, I think, dial in at this course and really put in an impressive performance. And he needs to win this in the next couple of years if he'd like to come back for another major. So he's the professor. He's got incredible distance. He can just overwhelm this course. I think he's been humbled from a few years ago when he thought he could overwhelm it and couldn't, and lost his ball in the rough. I expect him to play fantastically at this track, and I expect him to do very well.
Okay. Interesting stuff from Bryson. I mean, I'm out on Bryson. I think that when we're looking at Bryson, he can get himself back into the majors. I don't want to say easily, back into the Masters, sorry, because I think that he's super live at any PGA Championship and U.S. Open, because I think those courses and that style of course fit his skill set better. I just think that the Masters throws him for a loop. He just gets in his own head about it.
That has been the case. But honestly, from what I can follow of Bryson, he seems to be in a good headspace right now. I expect him to just come out here with his length and just take full advantage of Augusta National.
Okay. So your top pick to win the 2024 Masters, Tim?
Joaquin Niemann.
Oh, come on.
Joaquin Niemann, who, in my opinion, is the best player on Live right now, not John Rahm, who should be shorter odds than John Rahm, but isn't.
Hold on. Hold on. You think that Joaquin Niemann should have lower odds than the defending Masters champ?
Look, I understand that I said form is not the most important thing, and it really isn't. But Rahm has not been good on the Live Tour. And Niemann won in Australia. Neiman has played well, very well on Liv. I can't pretend like he hasn't played really well. He's a top-tier talent, and I think the best player on Liv right now. And that's why I'm going to pick him. I think the odds are wrong. I think Rahm is dining on a little bit of past performance, and Neiman isn't. Should Neiman really be double the odds of Jon Rahm? I think that's silly. So no, I can't possibly support that. Neiman's going to win.
I'm not gonna throw stones in Neiman here, but
because you have a bet.
Hold on. My question is: were you just blindly going to take the best player and Liv? Like,
no, not necessarily.
You made it seem that way.
I almost took Wyndham again because Wyndham being 30-1 has got to be one of the most valuable plays on the board. Given that in the official Mayo rankings he's third, how could he be 30-1?
He's getting crushed because he's just never played at Augusta before, and we're just going to go back to 1979 and just pretend. Like, listen, I'm not saying that a debutant can't win at Augusta, but I mean that's going to be factored in the odds. It's no different than Jordan Spieth being 18-1 when he should realistically be like 50-1.
And Wyndham is perpetually like in the odds board. We've noticed, like we've almost commented, he seems like the fairest bet in. Forgetting the debutante factor, but in all these events, Pat, you've made so many like laughable comps on the show to guys that had the same price as him. The books have never truly shown him the proper respect yet. And I guess the debutante factor is the reason that the books are feeling they don't have to this time either.
I do like him. I mean, I already bet him. I put those futures out for the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship because getting Wyndham Clark at like 60-1 to win a major right now, I think is a great value. This is one, Tim, that I don't love. I don't love him to win. I can see him being wildly competitive here. I think he fits this course really well, actually.
I know, but like you have him ranked third and Rory sixth, and Rory's 3 times shorter. He's 3 times the odds of Rory. It just seems to me like that's just a value play.
Yeah, but I mean that would also think that I think that Rory is 10-1, which I don't.
No, Rory could be 300-1. Like Rory's not going to win.
Okay.
Why would he win? It's a major.
He has 4.
Yeah. Okay. A decade ago, like I'm being hyperbolic here about Rory, but like he's had lots of opportunities in the last couple of years and he hasn't gotten it done. And then he plays really well at the quote-unquote Texas Open that I'm supposed to be impressed by when he doesn't have a chance to win either. Like, I don't know.
Hold on.
When he actually performs at the Masters.
You say quote-unquote Texas Open. Are you pretending like the Texas Open doesn't actually exist? Like it's a fictional tournament?
No, I'm emphasizing it as if it's like some big deal that I should care about.
Who is treating it like a big deal?
Well, people are talking about it like, look, Rory finished top 5 again. Like, I should be impressed.
He
finished top 5 at this
who did you hear that from?
Tournament.
Who did you hear that from?
I'm on Twitter. I see things.
So you, again, concocted something in your own mind and then argued against it and said that people were saying it?
I did not do that.
It sounds like that's what you did.
Anyway, if you bet on Rory, it's a waste of your time.
So I'm guessing that when we're going to talk to you about your 3 players to fade this week, I'm guessing Rory's number 1. The can't win rankings.
Yeah. He is. He's not going to complete the Grand Slam right now. No way.
Geoff, did you know that Tim gave out 20-1 odds on Rory in our group text about who, like, odds on Rory to win? Someone took him up on 20-1.
Well, those are much fairer odds.
Yeah, but why are you giving fair odds just to prove a point? You don't even bet yourself.
Because I want to prove a point.
Sure, yeah, good. I mean, Rory, it's a bit of an enigma. I mean, we've done this so many times that every sort of like he's come into the Masters in every form you can imagine. He's done it every single way. I'm not saying Rory would be on my fade list. Because if I'm going to lose bets this week, I'd rather watch this Grand Slam thing just happen already. But I have no interest in stepping in front of it. Stepping in front of that with real money. He's going through a lot. He's at these stages where, and I actually back him not showing up until Tuesday. I mean, what does he need to learn? Just like I'd show up as late as possible. But if we're in the grip it and rip it stage of Rory's Augusta journey, I'm here for it, but I ain't betting it. I ain't stepping in front of it with a bet one bit. So I don't agree with Tim's like no chance shit, but from a betting perspective, I got zero interest.
Yeah, I'm not going to be betting Rory at 10-1 either. But I think there's a couple ways that this plays out. Like he just plays awful, and he ends up missing the cut, which I don't think is going to happen. He comes in with like decent enough form, and he knows this place pretty well that maybe he can manufacture someone. The more realistic scenario here with Rory, Tim, is exactly what he did at the Players, where he's going to be first round leader, and then people are going to be tweeting you, see, and then he's just going to fade on the weekend and not win.
Or he's going to finish third, and I'm going to have to pretend like I'm impressed that he didn't
you were
win
just
another major.
you were just super impressed with Phil coming in second.
Well, because Phil was being treated like he was the worst player in the draw. That's why, which was foolish.
Well, it's funny because outside of that,
It was unjustifiable.
I mean, it wasn't unjustifiable. Go look at his results from the past 18 months. He has one good tournament, the last year's Masters.
Is he simply referring
Okay,
to
but-
you and Cam like picking against him last year and something? Like,
Yeah, I bet him to miss the cut. And he made the cut like on the number.
And then finished second.
Sure, that's great.
Anyway, number 2 is this Thigala character.
Yes,
Get out
here
of
we
here.
go. Here we go.
Get out of here. Oh, he finished 9th at Augusta last year, and he won the Fortnite tournament. And I'm supposed to pretend like he's going to win at Augusta National? Get out of here. Get out of here. People are hyping him up. Well, that's a waste. He's likelier to miss the cut than he is to finish in the top 10. Get
what's
out
a
of here.
Thigala
Get out of here.
Neiman matchup for you and Pat? Like, what odds would you give on that?
Well, hold on. Yeah,
I'm not giving odds.
why aren't you giving odds? You just said one guy should be favored over John Rahm, and you just picked a guy who is more likely to, quote,
Because I
miss
just
the
gave
cut.
odds to somebody yesterday, and
cut.
all I've been I got pilloried for it. So why should I give odds according to Jeff?
So you've given odds at 20-1 on a guy who is 10-1, but you won't give me odds when we look at the betting market. One guy is 25-1 and the other guy is 60-1.
Correct.
Okay.
If you were a book, what would you set
out
the
of here.
line at, though? What would you set that line at? I mean, I'm pro
I'm
Neiman.
seeing him at 50. I'm seeing him at like 50-1.
60-1.
He should be like 90-1.
No, but I mean, set
depends
the
where you
line.
look.
Set the line. Neiman versus Thigala. Like, how big of a
I'll
favorite
give
is
you someone
Neiman?
around him.
No, give you
Someone around him.
I'm not even
but the
asking
reason
you to
we're
bet it. I just want you to set the line. I'm not even going to bet it
Yeah,
with
the
you.
reason we're asking for a line is because it's like the books aren't offering Neiman versus Thigala
All right.
because they
I would
offer
say
guys
it's
near each
probably
other.
like, I'd say Neiman probably is a minus 350 favorite.
Hey, I would take Thigala in that bet.
You should do it to make a point.
You should
Like
do
you
it
did
to
with
make a
Rory.
point.
No, I will not. I will not.
But you're giving out 20-1 on Rory, and I can't get a 3.5-1 on Thigala over Neiman, the guy you picked to win versus a guy you say won't make the cut.
What would
Correct.
he's got minus 350 on Neiman. So what would Thigala be, like plus 300 or
Yeah.
310 or something?
I mean, if
Yeah.
we're playing at a book with no vig, it's plus 350. Tim's book probably takes vig though, probably extra rake at Tim's book. We'll see.
Okay, so
I'll
you're
take
picking
plus
the live
250
guy.
Top Cat, if you give me
You
that.
automatically pick the live guy, okay? And your fades are Rory and the guy that Pat likes. Like, what is this shtick? What are you up to?
My third person is Ludwig Aubert. I want nothing to do with him, too.
How
He's been
come?
frustrating me to no end. Because he's been frustrating me to no end. I
How?
already given all these promises of how great he's going to be. He's not winning anything. He's not finishing second in anything. I'm
You
supposed to be
finished
so
second
impressed
at
by his
Pebble
performance.
Beach,
Yeah.
54 holes.
Yeah, he got a live runner up. I mean, and he's won twice in the
swear,
past 6
you
months.
did this on the fly. I just made my comment
No.
about you being up to some shtick, and you changed your third pick to Ludwig.
No, I didn't. I have an asterisk here next to Ludwig.
Whatever.
I don't think he's
Why
gonna.
is-
I don't
why
think
is
that.
it-
I don't think that he's gonna win either. But I don't
Why
know.
are his
If
odds shorter than Cameron Smith?
that I don't know.
Because-
Because it's a ton of hype. I completely agree with you with that. But it's just Cam Smith. I mean, Cam Smith just WD'd at Live last week. He's had one good performance so far this year. So I think people are just a bit down on Cam Smith at the moment. But he just seems geared right now, and that's the hardest thing to figure out with these live guys, is that it seems like some guys take live seriously and other guys who play on live don't take it so seriously, and the only thing that they really do care about taking seriously are the majors, and I do think that Cameron Smith falls into that camp. Like
Maybe,
Brooks.
but like Brooks wins on live, and Brooks also really just cares about the majors. So
Sure. I mean, these guys are good enough that if they can come out and they can play well and they got stuff going on, then yeah, of course they can win. Brooks, I mean, look, Cam Smith has won 3 times on live over the past 18 months. He just hasn't done anything in 6 months.
Truth be told, I'm going to be there's nothing Ludwig can do this week that I won't be an apologist for. He could blow a 5-stroke lead on Sunday. I'll be an apologist. He can miss the cut. I will be an apologist. I'm just letting you guys know. I'm expecting him to play great. I'm expecting him to play great. But I will be an apologist for everything. I've got a fallback on a cushy pillow for every which way it goes. I don't care. But he's going to play great.
Paul, you wanted to comment something?
Question for Top Cat. Okay. Do Thomas Dietrich, Hunter Mahan, Tommy Fleetwood, and Siwoo Kim also have no chance? Because it seems like you're just attacking these guys.
I don't really have a strong opinion on those guys, to be honest with you.
Well, like 3 of them aren't even in the field, so that they're probably not going to do anything.
I don't have a strong opinion on. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on that.
All right, so those are your. Go ahead.
And you're going to victory lap. Like if Rory finishes 3rd, you're going to victory lap your prediction, probably, right?
What a brave take.
No, not particularly. But the one I gave you Bryson first round leader. It's supposed to pour rain there on Thursday, so are they even going to get it Thursday in? Doubtful. If they do, it's going to be super soft. So super long bombers like Bryson are the only play, I think, for the first round leader.
You see, I don't think so on that, because I think we've seen enough times. I do agree with your theory a little bit. I think like Scheffler ends up becoming like the play, him and Brooks, just with the way that they're able, because Bryson's still so wayward off the tee that there will be, if it's wet out, there will be a premium on being in the fairway. And if Bryson's going to spray it around a little bit, Brooks and Scheffler are the two that have all that distance and basically hit every fairway.
There is no fairway at Augusta National.
Well, not being in the pine
primary
straw,
cut,
and not being in the right position where there aren't trees affecting your shot, whatever it might be. And obviously, while the driving is going to be important, it's still going to be a second shot course. And Bryson's irons are just not even the same realm of consistency as those other two guys. He might be able to do it. I agree with you. But just on a general path, if it's wet out, the guys that just go pin seeking, those would be the guys. Like Wyndham Clark, I think, would be really good if it's wet out.
Yeah, super long hitter. Yeah, Adrian Moronk.
Moronk's going to be one of your picks, is he?
No, but I think there's 13 guys on the other tour in the draw, and how many are going to miss the cut? Maybe 1, maybe 2.
Well, let's set that line. 13 live guys in the field. You set your line for live guys to make or miss the cut.
I would set it at 2.5.
2.5.
I'll set 2.5 to miss the cut.
2.5 live guys to miss cut. All right, now we're getting somewhere with some of your takes.
And I can't believe you called live the other tour.
Well, whatever. They're both. It's not a derogatory term. They're both. There's one tour. There's another tour. They're both equal tours.
No, like that's what you'd say, like the other Bosa, as a derogatory term.
Well, I believe I referred to one as the good Bosa and one as the other Bosa. That's intentional.
I'm shocked you didn't pick Brooks.
I like Brooks more at Valhalla, to be perfectly frank with you.
Okay. I mean,
Did you watch
I like
yesterday?
him there too.
I watched the last few holes in the playoff between Garcia and Burmeister.
I had live on as comfort food because I was sweating out a Paul Casey top 10, which he obviously missed by a stroke. But I was having a full-fledged meltdown, as I previously discussed, while watching the PGA. That it was nice just to like, hey, my bets are already dead on this one. I can just kind of sit back and enjoy the golf. I love Doral so much. It's such an awesome course.
I was going to say, I miss Doral. The Blue Monster is a better course than 85% of the courses on the PGA Tour.
I would agree.
What do you think Hatton's going to do this week, Tim?
That's a good question.
Make
the cut, but have no particular relevance.
You say make the cut?
make the cut, but have no particular relevance.
Yeah,
Maybe somebody on Sunday morning who gives us a good sense of where the course is.
Yeah, he hates this course so much. Like he's a pretty angry fella to begin with. This course makes him very angry.
I love
Yeah, I wouldn't
him
expect,
on
I wouldn't
live.
expect greatness here.
He's probably the best thing to go to, like Rom also, because we do get their hot mics, and there's probably no one after the round be like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you know, on the PGA Tour, there's some like communications guy. It's like, you probably really shouldn't do that. Like he dropped. Did you see that Hatton? He said the word that. Listen, I said this word one time in a public setting. It did not go over well. Okay. It was before an exam. There was a lot of females in this class. The teacher was female, and the teacher was like 7 minutes late for an exam. And I just dropped the, where is this? And and like the whole aghast. And how do you put this?
Hold on. Did that surprise you, Geoff? That, I mean,
Well, no,
you
because,
not
listen,
being you not being in England at the time, that came as a shock to you?
Okay, no, but here's the thing. I am one of these people, like Tim probably understands this. He, worked at a school. Some claim he was a professor or something, a doctor. Sure. I don't like, there are people that hang out in front of the doors in front of these exam rooms like a half hour, an hour before, like loitering, like in front of it. I'm literally like, I can't do that. Like, I will go in. I'd rather be like 2 minutes late and just be able to walk and sit. I got to get it going. The stuff's not going to stay in there long. I got to get it out. And her being like, I was triggered. I don't even know what I got. Probably didn't even check.
I'm guessing not great.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, so Hatton just.
As much as I appreciate story time with Geoff here, I gotta get going.
All right, so Thigala is plus 240 to miss the cut. So to recap your picks, Tim, you got Neiman, Bryson, and Harman as your big three. Your three fades: Rory, Thigala, and Ludwig Oberg. Any other things that stick out to you at this year's Masters?
Yeah, I like the no hole-in-one prop whenever it's available. I don't see it happening this year.
When was the last time a hole-in-one didn't happen at the Masters? Like 20 years ago?
Maybe. I don't think it happened in the fall Masters.
Oh, interesting.
Also, I like Nick Taylor as low Canadian. He's not the shortest odds, and he ought to be, so play him.
You don't think Mike
You
Weir's
got
going to beat him?
Wyndham as
Lowest Canadian.
For Weirzy? That's your pick?
Weirzy made the cut last year. I wouldn't be shocked if he made the cut again, but I'm not picking him.
Did he
And
make
the best
cut
There are a
last
lot
year?
of other Canadians in the field. Yes, he did.
I just remember
For the
winning.
first time in years.
I won a 4-1 head-to-head with him versus Kevin Na in round one after. No, Mike Weir missed the cut last year, pal.
What year? He made it recently then.
Oh, yeah.
Very recently.
He made it 4 years ago in 2020 was the last time he made the cut.
Oh, that was the fall Masters as well.
Tim, best market in the game. Is Wyndham your top debutant, or are you going to go elsewhere?
That seems reasonable.
You know who the...
Well, it's a crowded group, but you're fading Oberg, so it opened but there's so many guys.
There's only one answer to that question of who the low debutant is going to be. And Tim, I know you agree with me. It's Akshay! Akshay, the lefty! Come on!
I don't hate that.
He's the only one with Masters experience. He was in the drive, chip, and putt contest as a 13-year-old here.
Is his shoulder okay?
Who knows? Whenever you dislocate your shoulder by having a fist pump, that got me very excited. I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't even like a big fist pump either. It
was like a Chesson finger snap. It was like the Hadley finger snap. I can't.
Yeah!
Yeah. I can't.
Like that? Like you had a puck of skull in your hand or something like that? Anyway, Tim, thank you for your picks. We'll let you get back with your day. That was Tim Undercust.
Tim Andercust.
And yes, that is his name. Head over to Underdog Fantasy right now. Get that deposit match of up to $100. But if you use code Mayo with the Masters coming up, we got some extra special bonuses for you on top of everything. If you use code Mayo right now at UnderdogFantasy.com, you will unlock not one, but 2 free squares for Masters Week. You'll get the Scotty Scheffler free square that everyone is getting, higher or lower than 0.5 strokes on Thursday. However, by using code Mayo, you unlock the Jordan Spieth free square for Thursday, higher or lower than 0.5 strokes as well. Those will become available Tuesday of Masters Week, but get in now at Underdog Fantasy using code Mayo to make sure that you have the best advantages possible. Let's get into it. Masters odds at the very top of the board. Scotty Scheffler is the favorite, Jeff. He is 4-1 is the deepest that you're going to find him at the moment. Rory at 11, Rahm at 12. Those are the big three. And then it's a collection of Brooks, Xander, Spieth, and Hideki from 18 to 22. And the other two players that are below 30-1 right now in best of market are Joaquin Niemann and Ludwig Åberg, the debutant, at 28-1. So 9 guys below 30-1 as we enter the 2024 Masters. I have made one wager on one of these guys, and I made it over the weekend. I put it out, and the odds got crushed just a little bit, but you can still grab them at 22 if you want to. I have bet on Hideki Matsuyama to win the Masters, Jeff.
It's hard to argue with that at all. If I was making a bet here this week, it would probably be on Hideki Matsuyama. He checks every box. I trust him. He's flushing it at eye-popping levels. He's the small handful of players I actually think can beat Scotty Scheffler at this moment, or just hang with Scotty Scheffler and, just battle against what you hope is his B game. But hard to argue. What, it was 25-1, right? It was still flashing up on the weekend some places.
Yeah, DraftKings had a 25, and Bodog/Bovada had a 25 as an offshore. But yeah, right now 22-1 is best in market, and still at DraftKings if you're looking for that. Most places have Spieth at 22 as well. I'd rather take Hideki over Spieth at this point. 4 straight top 10s for Hideki coming in. He won at Riv. Obviously, he's won at Augusta before. His game faltered a little bit on the back 9 in Texas and San Antonio last week, but it was weird because he was playing great, and holes 9 and 10 are really tough at that course. And then on, I think it was 11 or 12, whichever one it is, his approach shot hit the pin and bounced off the green. Remember when that happened to Tiger at the Masters and it spun back into the water? And it kind of derailed his round a little bit. And he wasn't really playing for anything. He was 9 strokes back of Bhatia at the time. That, what's he really doing? But it's just another top 10, plays incredible golf, and it's all about his driving for me. That was the big difference between him this year and him last year. And he didn't finish outside the top 35 at any major championship a year ago. And dude couldn't drive the ball at all. Now he's back to being like one of the top 20 drivers on tour, and he still has the amazing irons. He still has an all-world short game. You just have to hope that the putter shows up, and that's kind of the case with a lot of these guys. So I'm just going to bet on it showing up, and he's playing great coming in. And although Tim might say course history and recent form doesn't mean anything, when you go back and look at who wins the Masters, those are the only 2 things that actually matter.
Okay. Tim was literally a talking contradiction through 85% of that, because it mattered. Like when he wanted to pick someone, it mattered. When he wanted to pick someone else like Niemann, it didn't matter. He played both sides of it in the same 12 minutes. And because it's Tim, not like, trust me, there's people holding him to account, but you kind of just let him get away with it. Brooks does seem like a nice evergreen bet here, though. Right? You blindly trust him. You turn it on the weekend, and he's probably going to find himself into this. He has those 2 career seconds here. Feels like he lives for it. There's lots of analogies with Brooks, but he's like that guy. He's not showing up to your 38th birthday party because he doesn't give a fuck. But if the boys are going to Vegas or getting down, or it's a big event, he's literally going to be the best in the room. And that, you're just going out on Saturday, leave him alone. Doesn't need that. Hard not to think about
for
Ben
me.
Brooks.
Yeah, for me, I'm probably going to jump back into this range. Just we've seen that the Masters champions, especially the past 4 years, so from Dustin on, even Tiger wasn't ridiculous odds when he went. I think he went off at 35 by the time it was said and done. I most certainly was not on Tiger Woods in 2019. But yeah, Dustin, Hideki was 50-1, but he was still ranked very highly in the world coming in. It just felt like his odds were a bit long. It was almost like when Sergio won. He was also 50-1, but he was playing much better than that at that point. Just people had no real interest in betting Sergio, just like they didn't with Hideki. He opened at 35 and fell throughout the course of the week. It's just not that many people actually wagered on him. Then you get Scotty, and then you get Rom, the two basic top four and favorites coming in. So having two guys in this area is really what I want to do. And I'm just not going to find myself at a 4-1 with Scheffler. I'm just like, if Scotty beats me, Scotty beats me. It's just like every tournament when Scotty tees it up that, sometimes he wins. Most of the time he doesn't win. So at 4-1, I don't think that's a great bet. Cust kind of got me like turning the wheels here on Rory though. Like I had no interest in betting Rory, but if, Cust is like a guy chokes, can't win, maybe this is just what Rory needs.
Sure, Rory would appreciate getting that call out from Cust. Again, it seems to be a pretty consensus 10-11-1. I'm not, for all that he's going through, I just don't want to bet on it. It just seems like it's a lot. If he does it, I'll be so happy for him. Like a lot of people, I don't have the stones to bet it, nor the bankroll, because I'm heavily future based, but I'm just fascinated to see what happens with these numbers, Pat. It feels like they really did squeeze a lot of guys, not just say Hideki, who, seems to make a lot of sense and popular, who got bet down a bit, or now Xander's into the silly territory. But it just seems like there's the whole collection, even beyond the guys that we're speaking of. It seems like they've just squeezed it. I don't know if the books are going to let their grip go a bit on about 88% of these guys. And you mentioned the numbers past the couple that won here. We've had some super favorites win the last 3 Masters, right?
Well, Hideki would be the one that wasn't.
Okay. Sorry. So yeah, it's been the super favorites, or as I enjoyed watching Bamford with you and Matt last week, and he likes to talk about it often, Pat. Since we've done the show, it's kind of been that weird, that middle zone, the Hideki, the Reed, the Sergio, even the Willett final number. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but historically it's been that the tier above the tier we're talking about has actually had way more success than this group of death that we all trust so much for obvious reasons.
Well, for me to jump back in, I'm not going to bet Spieth at 22-1. If he wants to fall down the board, maybe I have some interest. I just don't think that's going to happen because people will bet on Spieth at the Masters, which, listen, if you're playing on DraftKings or playing DFS or doing some head-to-heads, hell, use the Underdog promo, code Mayo, unlock the free Jordan Spieth Square. That's the way to get money down on Spieth. And almost like Scotty, if Spieth beats me, Spieth beats me. And I'm going to be the same thing with Rory. I'm not going to invest in Rory at 10-1. And I'm not going to invest in Rahm at 12-1. I just don't like what I see right now for those odds. Now, if you made Jon Rahm 25-1, I would 100% bet on him. But that's just not going to be the case. So for me, it really came down to, outside of Hideki, Brooks or Xander. And that shouldn't even be a discussion. It should just be Brooks at 20-1. I know that, but when I do out the stats, just like every single time, 7 straight top 20s in major championships. So I'm betting Hideki, who was the guy he beat, who came in second place at the Masters he won. It was Xander Schauffele, who almost took the lead coming down on the back 9 and gave it away on 16 when he found the bunker early. That I've talked so much about him that, and someone pointed this out, and because I don't know, maybe they're like 7 years old or they just weren't listening to it, that I compared Xander to Phil in a weird way. That, Phil was always a guy who gagged majors until he wasn't a guy who gagged majors away. And they were like, Phil's a 6-time major champion. It's like, yeah, he didn't win a major until he was 34 years old. This was the discussion around Phil for a decade and a half, that he couldn't win a big tournament. And that's the discussion around Xander right now.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you, Pat. I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with quoting Josh Allen. Recently, Josh Allen mentioned that he does not, when asked about CTE, he does not fear CTE. And I quote, "I know what I signed up for." I have a Xander Schauffele future. He's 28-1. Yeah, that is, I made that when I thought he was winning the Players, to be perfectly honest. And I thought, we're going to take a win into this thing. I thought it would be this number, but with a win. So I don't like what's happening, but everything. I'm here for it. I have bet on Xander Schauffele to win this week. I know what I signed up for. I know what I signed up for. Okay?
And I have not committed to that. So here's what's actually going to happen if I do end up going to this range and these numbers stay the same. You have Xander at 18, Brooks at 20. Those are the two best available numbers on the market. You got BetMGM with a 20 on Brooks right now, and it's 18 everywhere for Xander. Is that I'm going to look at it and be like, I can bet guy who doesn't win at 18-1, or bet Brooks at a better number, and I will bet on Brooks. That's probably what's going to happen.
You got to bet on Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm speaking as the guy with CTE, developing CTE. Bet on Brooks. You cannot bet on Xander shorter than Brooks. The fact that you could still maybe even pull 20s on Brooks, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, yeah.
And listen, maybe I'll just avoid this entire range completely because Neiman and Oberg are still here. I assume you have a lot of people have the future on Neiman, and he's Cust #1 pick to win. Listen, I should have bet the 90s and 75s when they were available, and I didn't. There's no way that I'm betting Neiman at 28-1 to win the Masters. Just not happening for me.
It doesn't feel great. Maybe you'd rather chase something above it.
Yes, I would. I 100%.
You'd rather
would.
just chase. Yeah, you'd just rather chase something above it. I love Neiman. I've sort of like bought into, if I do make a bet this week, because I am heavily invested pretty much already, it will be above 50-1. So I have been, listening to all this like Sahith vibe and a lot of the points that make sense, but and then maybe this is so unfair to say, and I say this as someone that has the big Neiman future tickets, but if they played a true head-to-head, like Neiman's 30 cents over the guy?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think their chances of winning are crazy different. I mean that. And that's someone that's bet on Neiman at the mountaintop and has yet to bet on the other guy. But I don't think their actual win probability is that much different. Despite, as Cust said it, what's he ever won? A Fortinet? I know. I get it. And I'm not here, I'm not planning, I'm not like a flag planner on the gala, but yeah, I don't know whether that's a fair way to talk about Neiman. I love Neiman. I have bet Neiman at every U.S. Open and PGA Championship the last 3-4 years. But I had to get in on these numbers this week.
Yeah, I'm in. And I missed out on the number. If those numbers were available, I would be betting on Neiman right now. But at 28-1, that's going to be a pass. Just like Ludwig's going to be a pass at 28. No thanks. What do you have? A 60, 50?
Buddy, I might have asked for it while I watched it at the Canadian Open. I have 100-1. Okay, I have 100-1. Let me just get it out of the way. 4 of them are great. 2 of them not so happy. I've got Hovland 25. I don't feel great, but if it hits 40, I will double the fuck down. Okay. Xander. So Hovland 25, Xander 28, Willie Z 50, Minwoo Lee 80. It's going to get to 100. I'll probably bet it again because I'll want to. And then I've got my Neiman 80, 100, and Aberg 100. So I'm done, but I might bet on Tagala because you've kind of sold me. I've watched a lot of your pre-ups.
Have you enjoyed the videos so far?
Yeah, I enjoy it all. I've just been flooding with Masters content. I enjoyed it all. I loved your rankings, and I know you've been sort of working on that behind the scenes for a bit. So to see that come to life and be so well executed, full marks.
Thank you. Although
really good. And there's probably an appetite for that sort of shit. Well, I don't know there's an appetite for it, but lists always track. And this whole smorgasbord of golf rankings, I don't know, it's totally credible. I was hyper interested to see how you played it out. I didn't know what you were doing.
So we'll re-up those probably next month. I had Hennessy and Powers on because I released the full column in Golf Digest. Want to get some Golf Digest editors on with me. That's on the feed if you want to check it out. Also in the Masters in the Mayo's Masters content hub. You can just find the quick link in there along with a list of the rankings. I'll have you on next time. Maybe we'll grab someone else, maybe like DB or something like that from the Tour Junkies, and we'll really, I need people who can fight against me on some of these things.
Yeah, Powers. I don't think Powers and Hennessy knew what they were stepping into. And listen, I've been guilty of it before, but it just seemed like they weren't ready to fight back a bit. But also, I think people will be more ready for the test, because I would have probably fallen into the same traps they did, because I'm a perception-based motherfucker. I'm a projection-based motherfucker. I give so much people so much credit that they don't deserve, and you're just going with the cold hard facts of it. So I'd have probably gotten caught in the same bit of a pretzel that Steven did, for sure, I think.
So, and just not remembering when things happened. Like, that's a big cuss thing. It's like, well, that happened. Like, Mike Weir made the cut last year. It's like, he hasn't made the cut in 4 years. Like, oh, in my mind, it happened last year. It's like, well, it didn't. What do you want me to say?
Yep.
So Ludwig is 28-1. I do want to remind everyone that at fantasygolfchampionships.com, there is another one and done. It goes from Masters through the Open Championship. I think there's 20 spots left in it right now. So if you do want to get a spot in that one and done, it's $100 to play. Go jump in there. I'm going to be jumping in later on this evening because I'm starting to peter out in the big one and done, although I still have plenty of time to make a comeback in that. But I think Cust did hit on something pretty good here. Not that I'm going to bet Wyndham Clark at 33-1, but in no world should Wyndham Clark be behind Ludwig in these betting odds.
I agree. He's perpetually disrespected. There's just no denying that. I'm not one of them. I only have Valhalla. You mentioned you have a couple. I bet you there's people with the full cradle of Wyndham for the year. His game should fit here beautifully. We've seen since yes, no debutant has won, Pat, but I like to just refer to the era, I guess the DFS podcasting era. We've seen debutants get significantly better and better and better and more prepared for this moment. So kind of feels like there's a moment coming. And have they posted debutant markets? Because I'm looking here.
I can't find
this one. Yeah, I can't find one, but I'm just seeing the board and I see top debutante, the Masters. And this year's class is so beautiful. It reads Kelly Kapowski, Topanga Lawrence, Kelly Taylor. I don't know how you're going to beat these guys. What a group. What an absolute group we have. I'm so fascinated with it. I can't wait for a true board. But you're right. Wyndham should not be behind Ludwig. That's weird. That's weird, but
it also speaks that the betting market isn't necessarily indicative of probability to win a tournament. It's based on who people actually want to bet on. And it's become very clear that people don't like Wyndham Clark, and they don't want... He's kind of like Sergio in a weird way, because we always spoke Sergio and Poulter and Reed were always the big three. Bryson for a while fell into that category too, is that the overall dislike of them amongst the public actually did translate over to the betting market, that you'd probably get an extra 10 points on those guys because literally no one wanted to see them win, so they didn't bet on them.
But to that, where I've noticed, and someone that likes to look in, just watch minutia or follow minutia, where you're just worried about actual important things, Wyndham off the golf course doesn't seem to have any of that stuff that Patrick Reed or even Brooks, even though it's very different stuff. It just seems like between the white lines, Wyndham flips something, but out of it, he is not he's hyper friendly and there's just so many things that I don't know, that I don't see sometimes from the other guys, like the Sergios that have that sort of reputation, or the fans are kind of not their biggest, into them. But Wyndham on the golf course, he's going to try to get it done. There's cameras everywhere here, but it doesn't matter. There's cameras on Sundays everywhere in the event he's been playing. That's a joke. But if I'm betting him, that's something that's in the positive side when I want to bet on Wyndham. I don't want to bet on Wyndham and he puts it in the trees. I'm like, get Daniel Berger over there immediately. Daniel Berger should be a rules official. Someone should hire him on a simulcast rules official if his playing career bottoms out.
Sure. It was always like when we would bet on Patrick Reed. It's like, yeah, I want this guy cheating. I have money on him. Like, this is perfect. And I'm not accusing Wyndham Clark of cheating. Everyone's kind of doing, like Denny was kind of doing the same thing as well. Whenever you see a guy bring 2 golf clubs to a shot and they step behind the ball and then they press the club down and they press another club down, listen, it's not against the rules. They're allowed to do it. So why wouldn't you do it if it's going to make it a little bit easier on yourself? Yeah, I have 66 at the PGA Championship and 50-1 at the U.S. Open on Wyndham Clark, but I will not be betting him this week. The full range here, 30 through 60. You're looking at Wyndham Clark at 33-1. That's best in market right now. That's at FanDuel. Then you have Cantlay at 35, Hovland at 35 as well. Then Cam Smith, Justin Thomas, both 40-1. Bryson, Dustin, and Matty Fitzpatrick coming off a hot Sunday in San Antonio, all at 45-1. Lowry and Finau, both 50-1 at the moment. And then Cam Young, Morikawa, Fleetwood, all 55. Then you have Homa, Theegala, both at 60-1. I have 2 bets in this range. I have bet, as I've been saying for a while, on Sahith Theegala at 60-1. I just really enjoy how he rates out here. And that is more of a feel thing, too, that he shows up for the first time last year and comes inside the top 10. That's a positive in my mind. He's playing really good golf so far this year, but when you watch Theegala play, it's just, he just reminds me, I mean, Sky made the comp at the beginning of the year that Theegala and Spieth are kind of one and the same because they have that just weird ability to get themselves out of trouble. And we've seen Spieth play really well here, and just 100% of the time, Theegala is playing well at Augusta National, but he's also very Cam Smith to me as well, that you give them the difficult shot, and it seems like they get jazzed up to make it. Like you put them in the pine straw, they're going to figure out a way out of it. But the big difference between Theegala, Spieth, and Cam Smith, well, Cam Smith's irons can get so hot, and he's probably still the best putter on the planet in an all-world short game. Theegala's an amazing putter himself. He has that magic beans around the green where he's going to chip in a few times and be like, man, I can't believe you're not dead from here. But he actually drives the ball well, unlike the other two, which is a huge bonus at Augusta. Now, his irons can get bad quickly, and that's always an out where, listen, if Tim says he's going to miss the cut, that's how he's going to miss the cut. It's by hitting his irons so poorly that he gives himself no chance to actually make birdies, and he ends up with 10-foot par putts, which eventually you're going to miss. But if things go right, which is why I'm betting on him, I do think he has the ability to win this tournament.
I like the sell job.
Because the SJ.
I'm not even pushing back on it.
I got a TJ before. Now I got the SJ going on. But if you're looking for guys, like if you just assume Scotty Scheffler is going to win, right? How does Scheffler get beat? Well, you know what the biggest elixir to beating Scotty Scheffler is? A whole bunch of magic beans, Jeff. And Theegala's got them.
You certainly are. I'm just curious, though, with the Scheffler, like, do you think part of the squeeze is like the placing bets? I'm not really sure.
No, it's that the last 3 times that we've seen Scheffler, he's come first, and second. He's being compared to Tiger Woods on the run that he's on right now, and he's a former Masters champion. He would have won the Masters last year if he didn't lose 7 strokes putting.
I mean, sorry, to the rest of the field, like the squeeze is because of
placement points, yeah.
The potential placements, and does Scheffler change like where you would want to add the placements with the extended? I mean, you're always with the extended placements, they're always more attractive, but you know, you add in the Scheffler factor. I'm curious if they're even more attractive for people.
They can be. The biggest thing is I probably won't play any placements on anyone unless it's basically, if I'm like, I'll probably bet Taylor Moore, for example, to win because the top 8 placement is so much better odds than his top 10 that I can actually invest less to do half on a win and half on a top 8. Like it's probably 60% of the money that I'd have to bet on his top 10 just to get that anyway. So I might as well just give myself the out of that happening because I wanted to bet him on inside the top 10.
Ben Cooley had an interesting tweet this morning. He's like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do here. Am I supposed to he's like, I know I'm supposed to pick a winner and, you know, there's the Scheffler factor, but he's like, maybe my job is to find an each way, an 8th or 10th place at 150-1. Maybe it is. That's not my game, though. It's not my game, Pat, and we're in the sweet spot. As we mentioned, it's been the chalk, and then this next range, you know, sort of like the 35 to 60 that you just sort of ran off here. There's so many fascinating options. I think if I didn't have a full slate of bets, I'd be real tempted with that Dustin Johnson 45-1. Maybe it even gets higher as the week goes. Like as Tim spoke out of both sides of his mouth, he made a comment that I can only hope to be true, and not referencing this player that like form doesn't really matter. I can really only hope that this is just a magic place for Victor. I don't know how, because it's been so ugly this year, and like 3 or 4 things in his game are going to have to be figured out. But I'm telling you, they some of these numbers are really, really big. If I didn't have bets, I'd probably just be spraying and hoping one of these ceiling players hits. Like as far back as some of those really good names you read at 60.
So
like Morikawa or Homa, like what? Holy shit, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's just all guys in bad form. With the way that odds are constructed now, like obviously that the betting market for golf right now is so much worse than it was 5 years ago when those 40-1 guys were hitting. I actually think you're talking about the sweet spot range between like 30 and 50. I kind of think that's like 50 to 80 now, just based on the way that it tracks out.
And sort of comparing the names in the 50 to 80 versus the guys that we mentioned like hitting that higher range previously, you're probably right. Like there's just so many fascinating options there. If you got the guts to bet Shane Lowry, like,
I did.
good for you.
50-1 Shane Lowry.
Yeah, like fuck, I want that to be more. You bet that, eh?
I did.
He's been so... I mean, it's other than the Sundays, you feel like the golf world owes him, but at the same time, like, fuck, you want to trust this guy? It's the same. Finau as well. I mean, maybe you'll be able to poke holes in it, but there are a lot of underlying things that actually...
The Lowry versus Finau discussion at the same number reminds me of the discussion that we just had about Brooks and Xander.
But based on what and who? Who's the winner? Who are you calling the winner? I know Shane has the Open, but who are we calling the winner?
I would call Lowry the winner. I mean, he has Wentworth, he has an Open Championship, and he had a WGC. So those are like 3 marquee wins. I mean, Finau's best win is...
I forgot he won Wentworth this year.
Last
one, right?
No, it was 2 years ago now. He didn't win the one over... I think, who the hell won that?
The week before the Ryder Cup. I forget who won that.
Yeah, it was the year before that Lowry ended up winning. It's just, when you're looking into it, there's 3 players who have... And listen, I got the sell job from Justin Ray on the show on Saturday, and Rathouse said exactly the same thing. And looking into the numbers, it just makes a ton of sense. Like, one of these Sundays, Shane Lowry's going to putt. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh shit, it happened, finally. He's not the 209th ranked player in 4th round putting out of 216 players. He just needs to be like the 50th best on one of these Sundays, because when you look at his tee to green numbers, they're magic. They're Scheffler light numbers, except he somehow putts worse than Scheffler. So he's one of 3 players with top 25s each of the past 3 years at the Masters. It's Scheffler, Lowry, and Morikawa. That's the entire list. That at 50-1, maybe it ends up getting a little bit bigger, but I think that people will glom onto that a little bit. And it's not to say that I don't like the way that Finau is playing right now. Could he make some putts here and really make a charge? Yeah, I think that he could. I'd rather have my money on Shane Lowry.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I guess maybe a lot of people are staring at those thinking, like I said, there's a lot of like underlying things that make you think that both of these guys really could be ready for this week. I totally agree with how you break down the Shane Lowry Sunday putting thing. Like I'm an apologist for a lot of losers on tour, but that is something that if I wanted in on Lowry, like I wouldn't give a fuck until he misses the 7-footer on one to start the day like he did at Honda. It wouldn't bother me until that moment on Sunday. When he missed the first one on Sunday, I'd be like, I'm such a fucking idiot. But hey, if you bet Shane Lowry, you hope you have that sweat on one on Sunday. That'd be great. Anyway, I agree with both of those, like even over my boy Tommy, like a decent result this week, but I don't know. He just seems so
lost.
I was like an apology again, his water balls in Florida. I didn't bet him at Valero, but I don't know. I was tracking it close because I wanted to see life. And there was about an hour and a half of life for him this past week.
I would actually say this is very reminiscent of 2 years ago, and he ended up with a really nice performance at the Masters. He wasn't sniffing a win, but like if you want to make a top 20 bet on Tommy, I completely endorse that because he's played like crap, and then he played well last week. Like tee to green, he gained almost 11 strokes tee to green, and that did, like it happened 2 years ago as well, that he played like crap through the West Coast swing and even coming to Florida, and then he got it back together at Valspar. And then all of a sudden he was off to the races and had a really good year. Ended up with 2 top 5s in major championships and a top 20 at the Masters as well. He's played Augusta pretty well throughout his career, and you get like crappy weather. I get it. He's not getting my money to win.
Yeah, and I mean, apologies for not knowing this and putting you on the spot. What is he on DraftKings? He's usually higher than he should be, I feel.
He's 45 to 1. The best number on market is 55 to 1 at Caesars.
I meant DFS because I can't play, but when I have money in the account, I can enter contests in Vegas or no?
No, Vegas is basically like Toronto.
All right, so no DraftKings for me. I was going to have a lot of Fleetwood.
He's $7,500. But he is
probably got him around people.
Yeah, here's the range. It's Theegala, Sungjae, Hatton, Fleetwood, Connors, Tom Kim, Patrick Reed, Minwoo.
Interesting. Just have to say it because I do love the guy and I've become a stan clearly this year. I don't really care who you are. I will not. Your first major level win.
I might be doing
Masters.
it. I might be doing it. There's 2 names in this range that I might get back in on, and Cam Young is one of them at 55. I think that number's getting even bigger. If that crosses 60, I'm going to be in. It's a perfect course for him. It really is.
He was so good last year. He was maybe the best player in that next tier of players. Even though Phil finished second, is different. He felt there was like anyhow. Okay. Yeah. Geez. You think maybe the 60s will pop up? You never know. I don't know who's going to tout it.
He's 55.
Would you play that with placings?
No. I mean, probably not. I wouldn't. I'd probably just bet on him to win. If not, I'd probably bet him top 20 at that point to give myself a little bit more leeway and take the ties out of it, because I think that he is going to finish inside the top 20. If I think you're going to finish inside the top 20, I mean, maybe that you do have a chance to win. He played top 10 for Cam Young here last year. Dude loves a top 10. Maybe the bet is just top 10 on Cam Young. See if that makes my best bets board on Wednesday when I talk to Byron and Cam about our Masters best bets. So that'll be coming out. We're doing Tambo on Tuesday this week for DraftKings, by the way, if you were wondering, and doing the DFS picks that way. But it was him and Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick is just pure magic beans right now, but he's improved each of the past 4 years at Augusta. If he can just harness his driving a little bit, dude is putting the lights out right now. That you could you see Matt Fitzpatrick with a green jacket? I could.
I absolutely could. I'm telling you, I'm happy with my positions. But if I was coming into this week naked, it'd be like this whole group of golfers we just spoke about that I think would make up my bets.
Well, it's because the guys in the 30s don't really offer anything. Like, yes, you can construct a case for Wyndham Clark. That's fine. I'm just probably not going to bet on a debutant to win. But like, no one wants to bet on Cantlay, myself included. No one wants to bet on Victor, myself included. Zalatoris, yeah, maybe you could talk me into that. Cam Smith is a firm maybe at 40 to 1. I have to keep an eye on that one. I'm not going to bet Justin Thomas at 40 to 1. He just fired Bones. He now has Patrick Cantlay's old caddy on the bag with him. I hate Bryson at this course. As you mentioned, if there's some more drift on Dustin and he crosses 50, then I have to keep that in mind. That's why you don't want to make each of your Masters wagers on a Monday morning. You have to see what the board gives you as well. And like, from everyone I've talked to so far, maybe the public won't glom onto it. Maybe more people will be like Tim. I think Sahith 60 is probably the best number that you're going to get, and that number is still available right now. And with Lowry, maybe you get a 55, but it seems more likely that he gets crunched rather than going up, which means Cantlay you might get over 40 on, Hovland you might get over 40 on, same as Zalatoris. Justin Thomas might blow up to 50, same as Bryson, same as Dustin. I just want to see what the market does to these guys, because I don't think their number is getting worse at this point because there's no interest in them whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't touch it, but I think the Thomas one could get people's attention, but I got zero interest. None for me. It would be that that closer tier that flirts with, Finau, Lowry, Cam Young, Fitzpatrick, literally that whole little cluster we just spoke about.
Reminder to everyone again, I'll be doing a live show 8 p.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network Monday evening. Might even do one Tuesday evening. Do some Albatross drafts on Underdog Fantasy. You get 30 ballots into that $1,000 giveaway that I am doing, that we'll be doing on the live show Wednesday evening, live from Las Vegas, by using code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. All right? You unlock the Jordan Spieth free square. You get a Scotty Scheffler free square just by being on Underdog, and you get a $100 deposit match bonus for a first timer, so you can get yourself into the Pat Mayo Experience Classic, which will jump out for the Masters draft, which when tee times are released, that will open up. And then all of the major season drafts. Major season drafts are so much fun. Probably have to do some on the show this evening as well while I'm taking your questions. Longshots right now. So 60-1 and beyond. You got some names like Sam Burns and Jason Day and Russell Henley, who kind of gagged it away on the weekend and just couldn't keep up the pace playing with Bhatia. Hatton and Harmon, that's one of Tim's picks at 75-1. Reed, Minwoo's at 80. Connors is at 90. Siwoo's at 90. Although he's much lower in some places. So someone bet him down to like 50-1 at one spot. I think it's ballooned back up. And then you got your triple digits. You got your Adam Scotts, Bhatia, Sergio still 120. I think of all these guys, Sergio is probably the best wager. Like if you're looking for a triple digit guy, what triple digit guy do you like more than Sergio right now?
Well, I'm a dud, so I would probably say Adam Scott, but that makes sense why Sergio would be in that group. If I had to pick one of these like later guys, Reed, Connors, you hit on all the guys that I would potentially.
Well, when you say I hit on all the guys, I read the names in descending order of what their odds are. I was giving no specific endorsement to any of them.
Connors, Reed. Obviously, I'm in on Minwoo. That's one that I don't think's gonna turn out as well, but I can't really complain. And if they put it at 100, I'm gonna go back in. I think it will.
Why do you really?
Why do
you need to double down? I don't get that. You already got these good positions. Why do you have to double down on it?
If they're going, I'm like a ride or die fucker. And if they're going to disrespect something I believe, I'll put a toe back in the water at the bigger number. It's just what I do. It's just in my personality. Okay, I'll take another bullet.
Bhatia, I will not bet to win, but I do like him as low debutant. We'll see when that market opens. I'm guessing it's going to be like 12-1, 13-1, and maybe he gets crunched a little bit as well, but just based on recent form. Everyone just watched him win, and a lefty who ball strikes the lights out. Hopefully, he can make a putt or two here. Kind of like it, especially in wetter conditions. It seems like a good scenario for Bhatia. The wind is going to be up on Thursday, too. Dude loves the wind. But like I said, Sergio at 120-1 makes the most sense to me as a long shot. He's down to 60-1 at Caesars right now. So there's a lot of money coming in on him, which means that some of those guys from that range will fall back a little bit. Other than that, Harris English at 180-1 is available at DraftKings. I know he just had a terrible week. I know because I wagered on him. Akshay made up for it, but he's someone whose game I do think, like, if people are going to bet on Russell Henley at 70-1, I know he had the top 5 here last year, and he's played well in some bigger tournaments. I do think that English is kind of in that same vein as well. Obviously, he's from Georgia. He played really well at Riv. He's won at Kapalua, some of the tournaments that we like to look at. We're talking about a guy who's 180-1. I don't think that he is going to win, but he strikes me as one of the few that I'll bet outright with that top 8 each way to get those top 8 points. So I think he can finish inside the top 8. For me, it's him, and Taylor Moore is the other one. I'm going to keep riding Taylor Moore here. He was top 40 in his debut last year, and he's playing much better golf coming in. I mean, he won at Valspar last year, but the consistency that he's strung together throughout the past month or so, I really like, and his around the green game has really impressed me. And it really did so in Houston, where I think, as I spoke with Rathouse about that, I don't want to say that it's 1v1 comparable, but a lot of different elevation changes around the greens and being able to control your speeds like that on those surfaces. I think that Taylor Moore can get himself out of a lot of trouble here. So if he has a good irons week, which he very rarely has, good driver, good chipper, decent putter lately, the irons can be up and down, and they don't really have that elite upside. I don't think he's going to win, but if I can grab him right now at like 300 to 1, it's a pretty juicy top 8 with that.
Yeah, if you could get the places on something like that, that would be fantastic. Just another guy back here. I noticed no two players took more time off, I believe, between their last, or like actual real golfers took more time off between their last start and the Masters. It was Victor Hovland and Griot. Back there. I just see because he's sitting right beside Taylor Moore on that betting board. How low, like if you couldn't get the 300 to 1 with places, how low would you be willing to sacrifice that number to get places?
Well, I can get 8 places on 250 to 1, so I'll play that.
That's probably the move. There's
one other guy down here as well. Actually, there's 2. I don't like their odds. I wish they were longer, and maybe that will end up happening. And I lost so much money on this guy over the week. I kept putting him in all my underdog pick'ems and going 3 of 4 and 4 of 5 and 1 of 2. It's Højgaard.
Yeah.
He just destroyed me. He could not make a putt or chip, mind you. And it's his first time here as well, but the ball striking was really good. The guy I would actually be leaning on, and probably I'll play him in the top Dane market, is Thunderbear, man. Olison's tee to green game at Valero was sharp. It's the first time he's looked good in America so far this year. He's already won on DP earlier this season, and he's 3 for 3 and made cuts at the Masters. He has a top 10 in his career, albeit it was like a decade ago, but he's someone who is familiar with this course. And at least the last thing that we saw from him, tee to green, was really good. If he can make some putts here, again, not saying that Thorbjorn Olesen is going to win the Masters, but if you want to make a top 20 wager, I might do the top 8 on him as well to try to really kind of cash in. We'll see where that ends up going. But I do like him more than Højgaard this week, and he would be one of the guys I identify from the back end that I do like.
It's hard for me to like. I can't even see these names and have any true thoughts. I wish I was playing draw. I'm so sad I can't play.
You can play top 40 markets.
I know if I wasn't going to Vegas on, because it's a quick crunch, I really would consider driving to like Buffalo. I'm in my head. I'm thinking, could I do that? If I go to Trader Joe's and Target, I could probably get my wife stuff that would not make her wonder where the fuck. Well, like, okay.
Taylor Moore top 40 is minus 105. Olesen is minus 130 to come inside the top 40. If those markets tend to interest you, I think what we'll do is between me and you and Paul, maybe Cody, when we're in Vegas, maybe we'll pull some money together and put a big outright on someone where we'll win like $100,000 if we win.
Or would they let us like make a big parlay of like just placings?
We'll
like
have
we
to.
each pick a couple guys.
We'll have maybe we can get a big to make the cut parlay on the go for the live cut sweat show from the hotel.
Someone who we didn't really speak about, I thought you might have mentioned him, although like I'm the guy that just mentions players who they like personally, that you just like mention the players you actually want to bet. Siwoo Kim. If you just trust him to hit a few putts, like the guy is smoke showing it.
He really is. I like him in placement markets. I like him on DraftKings, and maybe he can harness the putter. The putter has been so bad. So bad.
He's using the long stick, right?
Yeah.
So at least he's trying.
That's good for him. Thanks for trying, pal.
Well, no, because I mean, it really is when you look at Akshay, it's really Akshay. It really is so impressive. They were talking about it on the radio, like to see a player go up in both like approach and putting simultaneously is hyper rare. And apparently it was Lucas Glover that gave him the confidence to go to that putter.
So here's my problem with Siwoo. I mean, very much like when you stack them side by side, like Lowry's playing amazing golf coming in, tee to green, but so is Siwoo. Those are the two players behind Scheffler at the moment, and Bhatia now after last week, that over his past 3 starts between API, Houston, and the Players' Championship, Siwoo's averaging like 8.5 strokes gained tee to green on the field and each like over those 3 events. He's dropping a ton of strokes on the green. He actually gained at the Players, which was kind of nice. It's just his major championships have been piss poor in his career. Like even at the Masters, the best one he had was the Hideki year when he snapped his putter and had to putt with a 5-wood. He came 12th. Like he basically makes the cut every year here and then puts himself out of the tournament. And just to go back and even look at just PGA championships and opens and everything like that, I don't think he has a top 10 in his career at a major, which is crazy, right?
Pretty crazy. What is crazy though is how well he is striping the golf ball. But there's way too much putt luck involved in this one, it feels.
It is. And listen, maybe it is a top 20, a top 30, something like that. And maybe I'll play him with placings, and maybe this will be his first top 10 in a major. It's really hard to bet someone who's never finished top 10 in a major to win the Masters. I don't know when the last time that would have happened was. I think even Willett had a top 10 before he won.
I don't think it was a top 10, but he did have a something quality. How do you put this? It feels like not in terms of winning or anything, but all like the Tiger discourse. It seems like it's at such a lighter level than obviously last year and really ever. Like it's even not even getting mainstream air at the moment, but I guess there's a lot going on. People love women's basketball now, apparently. It's cool.
They do. Well, I mean, they have the Tiger Woods of women's basketball. That's why people are paying attention to it. This is one of the things that I wrote about the golf ratings. That the biggest X factor, and it's why I mentioned Spieth, of golf ratings. Yeah, the broadcasts suck. This we know. The Masters doesn't. The Masters app is fantastic. The PGA app, it sucks. It's hard to watch golf. You really need to be a fan when there's not that draw. And Spieth is the only kind of draw that we have. And now we're out of the Tiger bubble. Enough time has passed since he has been relevant that people are just out. They're not tuning in to see Tiger because he just doesn't show up anymore. And when you have Caitlin Clark, I bet you next year's ratings are going to be all right for the women's tournament. And the year after, they might be all right. But in 4 years, if there's no one to come in and replace that star status, they're going to be back to what they were before in the toilet, because you get that fallout effect that people remain interested when you have one of these generational talents that people care about. But that fizzles out pretty quickly when you can't fill the void. And that's what we're feeling right now. You have the fracture in the tour, the bad broadcast, no one discernible star that anyone really gets behind. And Tiger has been out of sight, out of mind for so long now that people are just ambivalent about the entire thing. So it's a combination of all those things. But I'm excited to see Tiger. I hope he plays well. Would you take Tiger or Phil this week?
Caitlin Clark looks like you with a wig. Has anyone ever said that to you before?
No. I mean, I usually get Pee Wee Herman or Ed Norton or Joseph Gordon-Levitt, depending on how puffy I am throughout the course of the day. But yeah, I'll take female Caitlin Clark. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That just okay.
I do get the amateur sketch of DB Cooper as well. I really have generic white guy face is essentially what it boils down to.
Phil or Tiger? Is it blasphemy? Because I'm saying Phil, it's going to be Tiger? Like after last year, Phil's at least golfing. I swear at the father-son thing, Pat, Tiger said his goal is to play once a month, once every 6 weeks. And if we're to believe it, he withdrew at the Genesis because of influenza, not an injury. So why didn't we see him again?
I mean, I'm not Tiger Woods. I can't answer that question for you.
Be good.
I'm Caitlin Clark.
I like we'll get him in front of a
Woods.
mic. You are not Tiger Woods, but I'm just thinking aloud that he sort of made a commitment that he was going to play a little bit more this year, and he played one event, withdrew with the flu. That's got to be an injury. It can't just be the flu.
I mean, there's 2 majors that, in theory, he could still win in his career, and this is still one of them. The Open Championship, I do think, is the most likely if Tiger ever makes a run again. But we have seen enough old players do well here who just have the knowledge that they can get around. And if the conditions are crappy and he doesn't need... I mean, that's kind of how he won in 2019. Everything got pushed. They played in threesomes on a Saturday with split tees, and Cust got all triggered about it. But it needs to be a certain set of circumstances for Tiger to be competitive. I'm not going to bet on him to win, but I could see him playing well this week as long as it doesn't get too cold. Like, I could see Thursday being a slog for him if it's windy and rainy and cold, because that's what happened to him on Saturday last year when he withdrew. It was just like his body just can't take that. He kind of needs optimal conditions.
Would you bet him to miss the cut?
It depends on what the number is. They never give you great numbers on Tiger to miss the cut. But I don't know if I'd want to step in front of that. Like, when was the last time Tiger missed the cut at the Masters?
It's not even about stepping in front of it. It's like, how much money am I actually going to bet on that where I want to cheer against it? Like, I don't care enough. Like, it's not worth $100, not worth $50. Like, hey, Tiger hit a bad shot. No, I want him there. I want him on the weekend. In a perfect world, he plays the weekend. He makes it near the number where we get him on earlier day coverage, and he's off the course by the time the important stuff gets going on. That's a sort of perfect world outlook for me. People might even be insulted by this. He wouldn't even be on my top 5 list of players I want to see, unrelated to betting, I want to see win the Masters. I love him as much as all of you, maybe not, but I don't care. I would rather just see, like, I'd rather Ricky Fowler win than Tiger Woods.
I would.
Tiger's got it now. I would.
What win is best for golf? Because I think there's a very clear answer to this.
Rory in the Grand Slam.
I actually think it's Spieth.
Okay, you could be right, and maybe the concept of Rory chasing the Grand Slam is something golf wants to keep in the holster. Yeah, there aren't many. Spieth, Ricky, like,
no,
who's
it's not.
actually...
It's Rory. It's Spieth, then Rory, and then I think there's a significant gap. Like, a Brooks winning, I think actually would be really good for golf, just because it's just more ammo for Brooks, and it makes the major championships feel very important that we have this guy who's like a killer at them, or like one of these first timers that people want to get behind. Like, I think Bryson winning, I don't think he's going to win, but that would be like kind of huge. Like, that would be awesome. Ludwig winning, I think, would be kind of big too, just to try to create a new star in that sense, but the way behind the other 4 that I just mentioned. I think it's like, with a bullet, Spieth would be the best thing for golf, Rory number 2, and then it's just like whatever.
Is that not including Tiger?
Not including Tiger, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to really poke a hole in any of the top of the list, and the fact that there would be an enormous definitive gap. There are very few guys who are going to move a needle, even if they win. And I'm talking about players that we really like, but it will be a bit of a national blurb instead of a story. I'm not anti-Jordan Spieth like I was for a period of time, but I've made this very clear many times, even in the recent years. I do not cheer for him at major championships. He can win all the other tournaments he wants. Like I made him reference to, would rather see other people win than Tiger. Times that by 1 trillion, I'd rather see other people win than Jordan Spieth. I just want to see other people get the glory. That's all. I'm about the glory being shared. I'm not a communist.
So, yeah, my definitive rankings would be Spieth number 1, Gap, Rory number 2, Gap, Bryson, then Brooks, for a win that would mean the most to golf, to get people kind of like jazzed up about golf. And like, listen, Scheffler and Rahm winning is great and everything like that. Xander winning, I mean, Xander's way behind those guys. No one cares about Xander. But like, Scheffler and Rahm win, it's like, oh yeah, they've already won the Masters. These are like dominant players. That's great and everything, but they don't have the star power of those other guys from like the golf public world viewing. In our world, it'd be a huge thing, but I'm just talking about making golf as big as possible, that the Spieth win, I think, would end up being tops.
Who would be number 1 on the nothing to do with betting, nothing to do with other people, like on the Pat Mayo,
Akshay.
like golf fan, sports fan?
Akshay, well, Thigawa, Akshay and Siwoo. Come on now, like my 2 favorite players. Let's go. I mean, Luke List is in this tournament too. He just don't got it right now.
Yeah,
I would. You know who I would love to see, because I do love him. It's just he's playing so terribly. I would love to see Morikawa just win and have a 3rd major.
Dude. If he wins this one out of the dust, it would be crazier than the Kyle Porter tweet pre-Open Championship, where it's like, "Fuck I hate my irons, can't hit my irons," and he waxes the field. He is a guy, like, he checks the boxes in terms of the outright betting, that game that we play. he checks the boxes in like A, having the ceiling, B, showing he can spike. You make a lot of shitty bets that miss the cut, that finish 60th place. Like there's a lot worse things you can do. I'm going to get back in with a bit of exposure. I expect to tell you on Sahith, maybe I couldn't sit there in Vegas. I would just tell you a Cam Young, I think. But I don't have enough. I don't want to bet as much as it would. I don't want to get back in on that guy, but I could see why people might want to bet him. If I didn't have bets, that's a lot of words to say. If I didn't have bets, really think I'd be swimming around it.
So, I mean, it would almost come back down to if I end up betting Cam Young at the same number as Morikawa, like, what are you doing? But this is the first time right now in Morikawa's career he's lost with his irons in 3 straight events. Like, they're bad right now. And he can't putt.
And this is what they say, major championships, the Masters, like you do not find your game at Augusta National. Like you just don't, right? You do not find it. History has shown it does not get found there in terms of winning. You can do something nice there, which can propel you to heritage and a nice, beautiful spring and early summer, but you are not finding a win in your bag this week.
I would tend to agree. The last Masters winner to miss the cut at the Masters the year before was Patrick Reed in 2018. Previous to that was Tiger Woods when he missed as in his first time at the Masters. I think he was an amateur that year, and then he won the next year, and that was in 1997. So
I watched.
It very rarely happens.
I love Patrick Reed, but that scrambling that weekend, Ricky losing by 1. Still hurts.
I had Spieth parlayed with the Jags to beat the Steelers in the second round. So I had Spieth at like 60-1, and he went nuclear on Sunday and got himself back into it. I was like, oh my God, is this going to happen? You got choker Ricky at the top of the board, and Patrick Reed. What the hell is Patrick Reed going to do? And he was lights out all week.
Yeah. And then you had that shirt he wore, that pink Nike shirt.
I still have that shirt. I might bring it to Vegas when we play Summerlin this week.
Oh, can't wait. I forgot to mention to Tim to hold him accountable that this was supposed to be Langer's last Masters.
Oh, that's right.
And Tim custed him out of it.
If people are unfamiliar with the Andercursed, I suggest you just search Cust Corner or the Custy Awards on Mayo Media Network. But yes, Tim was big upping pickleball and how everyone should be playing pickleball. And then one day later, Bernhard Langer, in his last Masters, blew his Achilles out playing pickleball. Poor guy. Love to see Langer here. Anyway, you can check out the Mayo Masters Content Hub. I have some DFS strategy and the field breakdown in there, along with all of the links that you can find. But it's time for our quick picks for the Masters. I'm going to give them to you right now. Everything that I got in so far, Jeff, and I will have the future bets in that Content Hub and doled out in the Substack, both on Monday evening and Wednesday evening. I'll be doing updates on the weather and everything. So make sure that you're subscribed. It's completely free to go do, and it gets you ballots in the draw for the $1,000. So you might as well do it. It's one click. You can do it right now while you're listening to me talk. Hideki Matsuyama, 25-1. Shane Lowry, 50-1. Sahith Theegala, 60-1. Those are the 3 outright bets that I have in so far. You've heard me kind of boil around what else I want to do. I'm going to wait for the board to reveal itself and change up a little bit, and then I'll go with some more convictions. And I do want to do some more research and talk to some more people about this stuff. Another bet that I made was Corey Connors, top 20 all 4 majors at 40-1. That's on Bet365. I don't know if it's still 40-1 right now, but that market is up there. I bet it at 40-1, and I will be betting Akshay as low debutant, but I do not have that market available to me at the moment, so I cannot tell you what that number is. If it's a terrible number, like 5-1, I'm not going to bet it, but if it's in the double digits...
Top lefty.
He wasn't even in the top lefty market earlier today because the Masters misidentified him as a right-handed golfer, so he didn't get into the API to be in that market, but he'll probably be second or third. I don't know if he'd be ahead of Bubba or not because Harman's the big favorite. And then
Hadwin left-handed?
He is not left-handed. No. There's 4 of them. It's Phil, Bubba, Harman, and Mike Weir, and now Akshay.
Like that.
So those are the quick picks. Who you got?
We're all deep in the bag. Futures: Xander, Will, Ludwig, Neiman, Minwoo, Victor. I'm for sure tailing the Gala at 60. I might make another bet at 50-1 because I just hit 2 winners and I'm happy losing money on the Masters. Well, not happy, but it's just accounted for.
You should reach out to Jeff Benson right now. Tell him to lock in the 60 on the Gala for when we get there so we can bet it again.
Get it a cold hard ticket because I'm not going to be able to access my books. So look forward to throwing down. Me and Benson and Paul yucking it up, telling GRP jokes. Oh my God, it's going to be such a great Masters.
One and done picks for the Masters in 2024. Once again, the new one and done for major season only from Masters through the Open Championship is available right now at fantasygolfchampionships.com. $100 to play. I think there's 20 spots left, so go get into that. I'll be getting into it as well. I'm taking Hideki as my one and done this week, and Tim is taking Neiman. So who do you got? You got Scheffler?
I'm taking Scheffler. He beat me last week, Tim. I'm shocked that he left Scheffler. That's whatever. Go Neiman, but I can't. I'm taking Scheffler. For sure.
I mean, we all did. He beat you last week. We had 3 guys who missed the cut at Valero as our one and done picks.
Oh, I assumed I was mincemeat.
No, you had Billy
so
Ho.
Bad at I couldn't be worse at a game. It'd be impossible for me to be worse at any game than that game.
I'm sure we can find something in Vegas that you're worse at.
Well, more expensive. Uh-oh.
I currently lead the one and done with $7 million in earnings. You have 1.5 million. Cust has 870,000.
Hi. Do you know how hard it is to have that little money through this many events? Like, you got to be trying. It's like the guy in the football pool trying to win the last place prize now. I suck too, and I'm trying.
3, 4, 5. He has 6 missed cuts in 11 events with his one and done picks.
Bad news for Neiman, folks.
We'll see. Good news for Rory, maybe.
I'm not going to lie. I actually went to the live shop. I wanted a... Tell me you don't see it, people. Maybe, I don't know. She's all over the TV the last 2 weeks. I'm like, I swear that's Pat with a wig. I'm looking at Pat with a wig. Pat with a wig from downtown.
If I could shoot like that, I'd be at the local Y right now, rooking people out of money. I don't have that sort of jumper, unfortunately.
UConn needs to win this game so I could pay for all my tournament single game bet losses. We'll leave it at that.
All right, that will do it on the Masters picks and bets on Tuesday. I got Tambo talking about DFS and DraftKings. Wednesday, Byron and Cam for the best bets. I'll be live Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, taking your questions about the Masters, maybe doing an Underdog Majors draft or 2. We'll see how the time goes. And then Jeff and I will be live 8 p.m. Eastern time from the Circus Stadium Swim in Las Vegas Wednesday evening. And we'll be giving away $1,000 to 4 of you. $250 a piece. You can do that by rating and reviewing the audio podcast and subscribing as well. Do that 5 stars. And if you use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now, you get 30 ballots into that draw. And go retweet my Masters hype video to give that some more exposure as well. There's other tweets you can do that for. You can find all of that information in the Content Hub. Again, that link is in the description. It's completely free, and it is just a cheat sheet of all the content that you can find this week, and it gets updated every time a new show is out. Smash the like and sub to the channel while you're here. Good luck with the year's first major. We're finally here. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!